We are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico Lagan, and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token liberal. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it's possible for a lefty and a righty to not only get along, but to be able to have a civil conversation when we disagree. Because never forget, common sense has no political affiliations. Today is going to be one of those days because, whoo, I got about 10 subjects for you guys. There's not one subject that deserves the whole show, but there's a bunch of them that we need to address. First and foremost, to our American friends, happy 4th of July.
That's right. Happy 4th of July, Americans.
Oh, shut up.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, bro, come on, man.
Scratch that.
I'm gonna have to redo it. So today's one of the. Shut up.
All right, go ahead.
I'm gonna mute yourself. Today is the 4th of July, so to all our American friends, happy Independence Day. Yesterday, 6 Canadian airports were hit with bomb threats. The Globe and Mail reports that Canada has let in more than 17,000 immigrants with criminal records over the past 11 years. Have you ever heard of a program called the Vaccine Injury Support Program? Because I'm ashamed to say that until yesterday, I had no idea it even existed. Daniel Smith announced yesterday that Alberta is going to create a new provincial police force that will be led by former Calgary chief. Talking about Calgary, it's the Calgary Stampede over the weekend. It starts today. It's going on until Sunday. I don't know for you. I've never been, but goddamn, I would love to go. The CEO of Canada's top 3 car manufacturer had one thing to say to Carney the other day. Your EV mandate is impossible. Scrap it. I don't think anyone is going to be surprised by this, but the Toronto Sun reports that our government has spent $300 million on federal climate programs that have not only failed to produce any new jobs, but it also failed to lower emissions. Blacklock reporter reports that as per a federal board, Canada's first prime minister has become too polarizing and controversial to warrant any new federal sponsored commemoration. And finally, Rob is going to like this one. It seems that our American women are finally going to get justice because the NCAA has decided to strip Lia Thomas of all of his titles and will personally apologize to all the competitors who lost to the biological male. Before we get into the subject, let me ask you the question of the day. Do you believe that Trump is reshaping Canada? Get your questions ready or get your comments ready because the show starts now. God damn. Fuck me.
Almost flawless.
Almost flawless if it wasn't for the twat I record with. If it wasn't if it wasn't for the twatting.
I'm just giving you practice. Life's gonna throw unexpected
okay,
just throwing some roadblocks in the way to give you some practice. Yeah. Guys, how's it going, guys? Happy Friday to you all. And yes, correct. It's happy 4th of July to all of our American listeners.
Yep, happy 4th of July.
Yes, everyone's happy. We're all very fucking happy.
We're all a big fucking North American family.
Yes,
What's
exactly.
going on, Pam?
Pam, how's it going?
I love when Wise Guy says that. Hello,
humans.
Yes. Hello. Because for the reptilians out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's not. They're like, he's not talking to me.
No hellos to you.
Yeah.
Sylvie.
Good day, ma'am. Hopefully you guys are all having a great day.
So
yeah,
we can just take this. We can start pretty much anywhere. There's so many of it. I think I'll start with the question of the day.
Sure.
I will ask you the question of the day, and I will repeat, and I will ask to every listeners that are here right now: is Donald Trump reshaping Canada? Go.
Mm-hmm. So I think
I know.
I think he is. It's clear he is. And I think every American president has always had the power to do so. I don't believe that this is unique to Donald Trump. He just seems to be using this power a lot more. Yeah. Then it's really a matter of, one of the words we use all the time here is leverage. It's really a matter of America has leverage, Canada doesn't, and Donald Trump is the first president that I can think of in a long time who's been willing to use that leverage to actually enforce his policy.
I agree. And, the reason I bring this up is, I do a shit ton of research. I'm always looking. I get a lot of news delivered to my inbox. And I'm a big fan of the Epoch Times. And yes, I would accept a sponsorship. It would be a great place for you guys to sponsor, because I talk about your media outlet, your
channel, website.
They still do news. No, they still do physical newspaper that you can actually order. It's kind of cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez,
Yeah, I know. That's
quaint, very quaint.
Yeah, but a lot of people that follow politics that are a bit older actually know how to read, so they enjoy the newspapers. But the reason I bring this up is that I received this. I received an email this morning, and that was the headline of the actual email: how Trump moves have reshaped Canada's path. And I'm like, I spent a good hour reflecting on this morning, because is it Trump that's reshaping Canada, or is it that 10 years of liberal policies have weakened us so much that he's capable of taking advantage of it, and as a symptom, or as a end result, he's kind of reshaping us? But is he really reshaping us, or is he just doing the right thing for the US? Is he? Do you know what I mean? Like, I find it to be a very, very interesting question. But before you answer it, because this, I won't go into too much detail in the article itself, but obviously they talk about dropping the DST, the digital services tax, that our finance minister last week said it's on, and it had been on for over a year. It's something that Trudeau had put in place.
Yep.
But they said last week, we're beating the drum, it's going on. Next thing you know, Trump sends a tweet off the throne, and bazinga, we don't have the digital services tax is gone. Then they talk about border protection and drug enforcement, because we have a massive problem where I think they estimate, like, it's something ridiculous, like 500 miles of border between Canada and the US is unprotected. Like, it's insane. It's through forest and nobody checks. Yep. So they make a good point, because you look at Bill C2, which tyrannical as hell, but Bill C2 came from Trump saying, hey, what the fuck are you guys doing with your border? And if you remember, that's how he kind of pushed the tariffs on us, right? If you don't secure your border, we're going to put tariffs, or we're going to put tariffs on you. And if you secure your border, we will remove them.
There's just a funny anecdote that you bring that up about this unprotected border. So I live in a border area. I'm in New Brunswick. And there's about a town called Woodstock, New Brunswick, about an hour away, where there's an actual crossing. But not far from there, there's a swimming hole, and you go there, and it's like a small river, and on the other side of the river is America, on this side. And you go in there, and there's kids swimming, there's Americans, kids swimming. There's absolutely nothing to stop you from just going a few more feet, getting out in America, and keep going. Or if you had a bag full of drugs or what have you, it's pretty funny, right? Like, you're swimming, it's just a regular swimming hole, and like America is a stone throw away, and you can literally walk to it, not protected at all.
Yeah, there's a few of those, like in Montreal, where I'm close. We're just out like about an hour, not even from a border crossing. And there's a few places it's literally you can walk.
Yeah. I have to imagine
the road is a dead end. and it's like, please don't pass here.
Yeah.
Passing over.
Whatever you do, don't take drugs down here because United States is that way.
Please
don't do it.
Then they mention upping defense. So obviously they're talking about the fact that Carney had just approved to grow our NATO contribution to 2% of GDP per capita, and Trump is like, not enough. We need 5. And also, you look at internal trades barrier, economy, and election, and because you look at both the liberals and the conservative, they run on a platform of we will fight Trump. We will fight Trump. Like none of them, neither Pierre Poilievre or Carney, said, no, they're our biggest allies. We will make sure that 75% of our exports are safe. Yes, we should become more self-reliant, but we still need to depend on them for at least a decade until we build the infrastructure and the pipelines and the manufacturing that we need in Canada in order to replace all the products we're sending down south, right? So I just found the article to be very, very well put because they identify all the things that, man, it's only, people forget that Trump's only been in power for since January. So it's 6 months. It's like just over 6 months now. So it seems like we've been talking about this for 10 years. But it's very interesting how I just found the article to be super interesting because it raised very valid points. But I mean, I just want to take this because this is exactly how I feel, like angry Canadians saying Trump reshaping Canada. No, exposing our fearless leader as an idiot. Yes. So I would probably replace the fearless leader as an idiot. And I would just simply say that Trump is just exposing the fact that we're so weak after 10 years of liberal policies that he can literally come in and make any demands that he wants because we have no leverage. There's nothing he can do to fight him on it. And whose fault is it? Is it Trump's fault? No, it's our fault because believe me, if we were capable of doing it to the US,
we would.
Don't give me this shit that we wouldn't. Like, fuck off. We do the same thing if we had the power to do it. So I just found the article to be interesting. And since we have such smart listeners, I figured it would open a conversation that could be potentially a rabbit hole.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good one though. Like, I mostly kind of agree with what angry Canadians here. Like, you can kind of both are correct here. Like, angry Canadians says Trump reshaping Canada. No, exposing our fearless leaders, idiots. Yes, but then I would say that in doing so, he is reshaping.
He's reshaping Canada.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of an either or. And I think any American president, any person who has the power and might of the U.S. government at their disposal has the ability to do that to Canada. Just most presidents haven't. I think it seems like most of the presidents of recent times have sort of had this idea like, oh, we can't, we're the big guys, and so we can't go and throw our weight around. And that may be admirable on one sense, but it isn't America first. And I think Americans kind of got sick of it. And they just said, you know what, we want a president who will unapologetically advocate for Canada, for us, and use the power that we give him in order to do that. I know on the other side, it kind of feels like bullying, or it feels uncomfortable. It does suck, but at the end of the day, it's all you can ask for. Like, really, every leader should unapologetically use their power to further what's in the best interest of their own country. So it's hard to blame America and Trump for doing that, even though it does suck being on the other end of it. And as we've said time and again, the solution is to strengthen our position economically on the global stage by investing in our economy, turn ourselves into an energy superpower, get export capacity on both coasts so we can sell to more than just one customer. We'll be able to sell much more energy at a higher price. And then we might actually be able to put our foot down and say no. And then we might get some leverage too.
Agreed, man. I completely agree. I'm curious to see what you guys think because
should we take a couple of these?
It was just a smart article that you don't get to see too often. This is what surprised me. Well, it didn't surprise me that it came from the Epoch Times, because if you guys follow them, they have an American version, they have a Canadian version of their news, but it's just very smart and somewhat neutral. Like, it's not too conservative, it's not too liberal. It's not conservative enough for me, but I like the fact that it's not necessarily liberal. That it's just, you know what? This is the truth. They speak about facts, and it's true that he has been remolding. I don't want to say reshape, but remolding. It's the same thing. But is he having an impact? 100%. But having an impact because we're weak. And one thing you got to give to Mr. Trump is that he does not like status quos. That dude's here to fuck shit up.
No. And you know, like I've made no secret that I'm not a big Trump fan, but to the extent that I do appreciate anything about him, it is that willingness, almost eagerness to fuck shit up, to just you know, throw around, like sort of throw out the status quo, because I think that's what's necessary in this day and age. So much of politics has become these baked in status quos, and we don't even know why we do these things, just other than the fact that that's how we do things. We've always done it, and it's not a good enough reason. And I think every once in a while you need to have a sort of a bull in a china shop come in and just smash shit and throw shit around. And the things that are actually good will stick around, and the things that you don't need to have will hopefully disappear.
What I find, before you go though, the last thing I'm going to say is I'm hoping that he will help re-put Canada to where it should be.
Yeah.
Because I saw a post this week I thought was funny, is the real Prime Minister of Canada is Donald Trump. I'm like, damn, that's actually clever. That's actually, like it or not, I thought it was hilarious, because you don't need to anybody that follows politics that actually can have a common sense opinion, you can't really disagree with that. Because technically, he is like, Mark Carney literally has no power. Like, Trump is pretty much going to do whatever he wants with Carney. And now even his EU buddies are dropping the green agenda. So the two things that Carney ran as a platform, I'm going to stand up to Trump, and we need to make climate change in every single financial decision that we'll ever take, is like, wah, wah, wah. It's gone. It's gone. They're both like, disappear.
I mean, we'll never know for sure, but I'd be fascinated to know how Carney thinks of all this. I wonder if he thinks, is this going how he thought it would go so far, or is he sitting there being like, oh shit, I fucked up. Yeah, I misread this situation. All right, let's take a couple of these comments here. See what the
I'll take the last one. We're already starting to piss people off, I guess. That's kind of what we do. Just take the last one from
Zeph Le Cave.
Le Cave. It's Le Cave, which means
Le Cave.
Le Cave means the idiot in French.
No, it doesn't.
Le Cave really means the idiot. If I call you Cave, it's because I just insulted you.
Okay.
Le Cave. Yeah, Le Cave means the
okay.
idiot.
In any case, Zeph, thanks for the comment. He says, for all the morons in this chat dissing Canada, why the crap are you not moving if you don't like it? So I mean, this argument doesn't really fly. Criticizing criticizing your own country does not mean that you hate it. It means you want it to be better. It's because we love it, or at least I love it, that I want it to be better. And it is, and also like, what really specifically, what has been said that's criticizing? Did you actually like? We've been talking factual things. The United States, the president of the United States of America has far more power and leverage in negotiating than the Prime Minister of Canada. That's not a knock on Canada. That's just observing factual reality based on the relative size of our economy and global influence. You know, that's not a partisan thing at all. In fact, you know, I'm trying to think back to what we've talked about so far. I can't think of anything that could really be reasonably construed as dissing Canada. We're political commentators here and we discuss politics and culture. But if your argument is that Donald Trump is not excessively overshaping or influencing Canadian policies and politics, I would argue you kind of have your head in the sand a little bit there, brother.
And I'd go even further to say that even if you don't believe that he's reshaping us, you have to admit that we have no power of negotiation either. Like, that's why it's so easy for him to manipulate Mark Carney, because he has no power.
Well, yeah, I mean,
75%, more than 75% of our exports are going to the US. So obviously they control us.
Yeah.
75%.
If 75% of all your exports are going to one country, that country is going to have massive influence on your policies. And you can see it, like literally 3 or 4 days ago, and I was about a week ago today, Mark Carney, said we're going to do this digital services tax. Donald Trump said, nope, fuck that. And 2 days later, the digital service tax was gone. Now, if you don't think that's influencing our politics, I don't know what to tell you, man, but it absolutely is. It is undeniable that the President of the United States has the power to dictate Canadian policies. And that's all we're talking about. Now, we can discuss or debate whether that's a good or bad thing, and that could be an interesting discussion. But if we can't agree that that's actually happening, I mean, I don't really see a place to debate. But I do want to say, Zeph, because I believe this is your first time commenting here, and I appreciate the comment.
But before you do, let me address one. Because he continued, like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to just say, hey, bro, I dislike Pierre Poilievre basically as much as I do Mark Carney, because I am a real conservative. I'm not a liberal in sheep's clothing. And this is what the whole goal of this show is. I'm a conservative. I'm a Christian conservative. Rob is a common sense liberal. And we debate this stuff every single day. So no, Pierre Poilievre, would a Pierre Poilievre been better?
He would definitely be manipulated.
Oh, no questions about it.
Yeah.
He ran a campaign on standing up to Trump. No. You know what? We'll go even further. I will agree that the previous years, the 10 years of government was bad. But you know what? I blame the conservatives as well for letting it happen, because we lost. I'm a conservative, bro. We lost 4 elections in a row. Why? Because we've been catering to the left that will never vote for the conservative instead of standing up for real conservative values, like Lia Thomas being the perfect example. No men in women's sports. That could have won them the election. And again, like I was saying yesterday, I recorded a video with Billboard Chris a couple of weeks ago, and I finished editing it this morning. And in the video, he says that the #1 swing voter problem in the US, the reason why they voted for Trump is because he stood up to men in women's sport. That was the #1 subject, not the economy, not immigration, men in women's sport. Can you imagine that be any different in Canada? If Pierre Poilievre would have had the balls to say there's only 2 fucking sex, genders are not a social construct, men don't belong in women's sport, in women's bathroom, and there's either women, men, or people with mental illnesses. Mic drop, he's done. Every single liberal with common sense and conservative would have voted for him. He would have won. That's it. Done. So I'm right there with you, Zeph. But I'm not a fan of Pierre Poilievre, and I think the conservatives are way too weak. And that is one of the main reasons why we cannot get a conservative elected, because they're not real conservatives. They're liberals. And that's exactly why Mark Carney was able to steal a lot of Pierre Poilievre's platform without changing anything, just taking the blue background, putting a red background, and it's basically his voters praised him as, woo, we needed to axe that tax. Yeah, bro.
Yeah. And
but thank you for the comments, bro. I'm not here to rip into you, but that's what we do here. We discuss, bring your work, and we'll argue, debate, have fun doing it. But thanks for the comments, bro.
Yeah. As Nico was saying, if you're new to the show, and I believe, Zeph, this is your first time here, the format is I am a liberal, Nico's a conservative, but what we're trying to do is create a space where just common sense people from all over the aisle can get together, have productive discussions, leave personal attacks out of it, just kind of, be constructive. One thing we say all the time here is, show your work. No one's opinion is going to be shit on, especially if you can back it up, give your argument. I might not agree with you. Nico might not agree with you, but if you show how you got to it, we'll engage with that constructively, respectfully, and lots of minds get changed here. I think both me and Nico have had our minds changed. Many commentators have had their minds changed. I'm not sure what is just.
He's saying je suis d'accord. I agree with you, Nico. So basically. But again, bro, hopefully you stick around. Hopefully you know what? Perfect time for a pitch. Hey, guys, if you're on X right now, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to reshare this stream. But if you really want to be part of the show and help us shape the show, join the YouTube channel at the Poli Orphans so that you can join the conversation that's right here below me. Zeph is not somebody we've ever had on the show before, and we've already been talking to him for like 5 minutes.
Seems
That's
like
how
he'll fit
much
in.
this is how much impact you guys have on the show.
Yep.
That's it. We might agree with you. We might not agree with you. Show your work. And one thing that I do all the time is when somebody calls me out on something or says something I don't know about, you'll see me do research on my other screen, trying to see if it makes sense or not and try to prove or disprove your point. So that's the whole point. It seems like you might fit right in, but if you are on X, join us on YouTube, join the conversation. And once you do, make sure to subscribe. And if you believe in independent media, if you believe that what Rob and I are trying to create a place where discourse between the left, the right, the middle exists, where people that don't feel represented by any political parties that are political orphans, that's why it's fucking called the Political Orphans, you can join our membership plan. $2.99 a month. It's not even the price of a fucking cheap ass disgusting coffee at Tim Hortons.
Not even one of the good ones. Not even like the fancy ones from Starbucks. Just a shitty one. Shitty one at Tim's. Shitty one at Tim's.
Yep. Yes, sir.
But yes. I mean, Nico just said it all. But guys, make sure to like that, smash that like button, share the stream.
Like that smash button.
But yeah, we are. You know, there aren't too many other shows kind of like this. What we're trying to create here, and I would say there are none that I can think of. And hopefully stick around and you kind of get a feel for what the show's all about. Because I think just based on your comments, I think you fit right in. So we'll move on here, or move on to some more comments. Wanda E says, "Hey peeps, good morning to you, Wanda. I think Wanda's from the past, but I haven't seen you for a while, so good to see you again." Pat Dodds.
I posted a video yesterday, and there's somebody I did not know what her name was. It's not familiar. She never commented. She's like, "Hey guys, I'm sorry I missed the stream today, but I'm gonna watch it now." I'm like, so there's a bunch of people that follow us, that listen to the stream, because we have
don't
hundreds,
comment,
if
right?
not thousands. Nope. Because you have hundreds, if not thousands, of people on the stream every day. You just don't know
who's actually commenting and whatnot. Yeah.
See, Pat.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Pat Dodd says, I love Pat's comments. he's like he's
gonna talk about Alberta.
It's like if you had a bag of fortune cookies, but every fortune cookie was just something about how much Canada sucks and how Alberta needs to leave. So today's fortune cookie, Pat Dodd's. Alberta is so done. It's Canada, so great. So great. Quebec will fall and Canada will be so fast, so great. I mean, we appreciate you, Pat. Keep them coming, brother.
I hope you know that I'm from Quebec, right? Because this is why I think your comments are fucking hilarious. Because you literally attack me every time. And I'm here. Hello, I am from Montreal.
Oh, oui. What?
Yep.
What? Wise guy says, right now I can't tell if it's Trump or if it's quote unquote the crown. Definitely Carney. Definitely Carney's plans are opposite where USA is going, especially on EVs in Ukraine. I think, to the extent that the crown influences us, that's just because Carney allows them to. He gives them power. We don't have a say in it's not like we're allowing the United States to sort of dictate policy to us. They just have the big swinging dick, and right now Trump is using it, and we can complain about it, we can hate it, and it's not a good thing if you're a Canadian, but we have to recognize the reality of it. And again, the best thing we can do is to make ourselves stronger by reinvesting in our economy, reinvesting in our infrastructure, and get to a point where we'll have leverage ourselves. We can stand up to people who try to push us around.
Let me take just this one before we move. Paris saying Alberta's independent, strong, free, and sovereign. Para, I think it's the first time you comment here. At least I've never seen your comments before. But this is one of the reasons why you see us talk about Alberta all the time. That's why I made sure Daniel Smith was on the thumbnail today, because as two guys from the East, we have recognized months ago that the Alberta sovereign movement will probably be the biggest political topic in Canada for at least the next year or two. And personally, I believe that Mark Carney is the last prime minister to be in power in a Canada that I grew up in. like as the Canada as we know it right now. No matter what happens with Alberta, I don't see them staying in Canada, or at least maybe they might be sovereign within Canada, but I see them separating eventually. And not only that, but just so you know, we know that mainstream media is never going to cover it properly, which we will. We will make sure that to cover all the stories that come out. And even today, there's one I want to talk about, the new police force that Daniel Smith wants to put in place. And we have a lot of connections within the Alberta sovereign movement. I got one of them coming over just after the show today, meeting him for the first time. My yeah, I guess I can call him a friend. I've been dealing with him for months, but Jason Having is going to be having stakes with me afterwards, but he's big in the movement too. So we're right there with you. At least I'm right there with you. Para will cover this. So make sure to join, make sure to come again, make sure to subscribe so that you can keep up to date, or at least come and debate, comment. Let us know if there's something that we should know about, because that's one thing that we do all the time too. If you have a news that we don't talk about, that we don't know, fucking throw it in the comments and I'll research it as we're going. But great to see you.
Yep. Thanks for that comment, Para. I got a couple more and then we'll move on to the next topic. We're going to try to keep fairly structured here today. Sylvie says, fairly, relatively so. Sylvie says he's making the Canadian government react, really, not necessarily reshaping as a plan. And then she adds, I also like the Epoch Times. They deliver news in a nonpartisan fashion. Yeah, I think
they're my favorite. They're my favorite by far. I fucking love that outlet. Canadian or American. Both their news are great. If you are a liberal, you're conservative, you're somewhere in the middle, fucking look them up. I pay for a subscription. They're so worth it. Again, we need a subscription. We need to make a deal with the Epoch Times. Come on. Talk about you all the time.
Come on, guys. Put your people in touch with our people and we'll make something happen.
By our people, it's like
basically just email Nico. But I agree with Sylvia here. I don't think he's doing it as a plan. I don't think Donald Trump's overly strategic. I think he shoots from the hip. I think he reacts to things based on his gut feel. He might have an overall broad, like, I'm going to make America great again, but like how he does that, I don't think he's really thought it through. But I don't think it's part of a plan, as Sylvie said. But he is absolutely making the Canadian government react, and that is, that we got to position ourselves appropriately. Don't put ourselves in a position where we have to react like that. Like the digital services tax, that was entirely predictable that what would happen, and that was definitely an own goal there by Mark Carney. Matt Smith.
Like I said the other day, though, before you take this, like I said the other day, this is what's unfortunate, because the digital sales tax or the digital services tax was not put in place by Carney. It was put in place by Trudeau last year. It just came into effect on June 29th. And they could have avoided that whole mess by just saying from the get-go, hey, guys, we're in a negotiation with the U.S., we're just going to scrap this. Maybe it made sense last year, but today it makes no sense whatsoever. The last liberal government was wrong on that one. That could have given him the opportunity to actually separate himself from Trudeau, even though he was one of his biggest influencers on his economic policies. And it could have given a little win to Trump, as in, we're really trying to make this work. But no, twats will twat. And he sent the finance minister to make sure that everybody knew that he was going to keep it on. 2 days after, he fucking he just, okay, no, sorry, Mr. Trump, we didn't mean it. We're taking it off.
Yeah, exactly.
Weak, like we say in French, weak sauce. Weak fucking sauce.
All right. Who's the next one? Matt Smith. He says Canadians should be wealthy. It's running extremely bad. I mean, if just based on our natural resources, our strategic positioning, for sure. That's his. And by the numbers, officially we are wealthy, right? But it doesn't feel that way to most of us, I don't think.
But it doesn't. But we're not taking advantage of our natural resources. We're not building pipelines coast to coast. We're not putting that on the world's market. We have the third largest reserve of oil and gas in the world. Quebec has the biggest plant of electricity, hydroelectricity. We
Yep.
have trees that we don't even know what to fucking do with it, but yet we're still buying oil from Saudi Arabia. We're still buying oil from overseas. We don't even have our own refineries just because we're spiting Alberta. Just because, again, of 10 years of liberal policies that have handcuffed us. Yet I would argue that we're probably the number one country with the most untapped natural resources. And we have the knowledge within Canada to run all of those manufacturing, all those production. Just the BC Ferry, the BC Ferry sending $1 billion of taxpayers' money to China in order to buy ships when they could have invested it in production here. Like, this is the type of times that I would be okay with the government getting involved with certain businesses. Okay, what are our choices? We send $1 billion overseas to China, or can we somehow
we can are you saying we can't build those kind of ships in Canada? Like,
no,
fuck that. Of course we can.
So the money that was given by the federal government was a loan to BC Ferries with a super low interest rate. Why wouldn't you do that to a company here? Instead of loaning it to them, loan it to manufacturers in Canada.
To build it.
Exactly. So the money stays right here. You build your middle class. The taxpayers' money is not sent overseas where it's going to be filtered through and somehow come back in their pockets. It stays right here to build our middle class. We have all the power to do it. We just clearly, our liberal government does not want to do what needs to get done.
Yep, and we'll just continue with Matt's last comment, and then we'll move on to the next topic. He says uranium, oil, natural gas, gold, silver. How do you screw this up? Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like, one of the main reasons why we've stagnated economically for 10 years is because liberals fundamentally have a mindset that is anti-development. They refuse to exploit our natural resources. And all the things Matt says here is correct. These are our natural resources. These are our wealth. And if they remain in the ground, we will never, reap the benefits of them. Like, Nico, you had said, we're buying oil from Saudi Arabia. I used to live in St. John, New Brunswick, which is just half hour down the street, down the road. And there is one refiner here in St. John. It refines all the oil or all the gasoline for all Atlantic Canada. And every single day you look out in the harbor and there's a line of 15 to 20 ships waiting to unload their oil from Saudi Arabia. So think about this for a second. We live in one of the most oil-rich countries in the world. To our west is an enormous fucking stockpile of oil, and we are buying oil. I think they buy 400,000 barrels a day. So roughly, we're sending $50 million a day, $30 million a day to a regime, Saudi Arabia, that is not really the kind of place that you necessarily, it's not about values, it's about economics. But it would be so much better to keep that money. That's $300 million a day could be spent in the west of Canada. We could be getting their oil, but the Liberals have refused to build pipelines. They've allowed Quebec to say no to the Canada East pipeline.
Bill C-69.
They basically gave Quebec the ammunition to say no to it with Bill C-69, and Carney refuses to repeal Bill C-69. So, I mean, this is the inevitable result of these policies. What happens is you get 1% economic growth for 10 years, because when you're in a natural resources rich country, and that's your primary means of wealth, any government who has a mindset of being anti-resource development is going to just tank your economy. It's just, now you may, if that's your values, if you think that's a fair trade-off, okay, I don't agree with you, but that's a fair take. But we got to at least recognize the reality of the ground. That is the inevitable result. You cannot have a prosperous Canada without developing our natural resources, period.
And you're talking about 79,600 barrels of crude oil per day from Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
And you want to know, I want to answer his question. How do we screw it up? Sometimes one picture resumes it all. There you go.
Yep.
That's why. There you have it.
Yeah.
I made sure to pick one where his legs were crossed and he had nice socks. Right?
Hey.
Yeah.
All right. So should we move on to the next one?
Yes, sir. I wanted to talk about this because this happened yesterday. And I got a small little video from, I believe, CBC that we can go through. But yesterday there was 6 bomb threat throughout Canada. 6 different airports in Canada have been hit by bomb threats. And up to now, we still don't know why, but we still don't know what happened. But here is just a quick story to let you know about what happened and how incompetent we actually are.
This was the scene at Ottawa's International Airport Thursday morning. The terminal crawling with police officers, sniffer dogs, and hundreds of passengers left waiting.
There's cops everywhere, and we're like, what's happening? People are piling up. They just kept saying security threat.
More specifically, a bomb threat. NAV Canada, which oversees air traffic control, says early morning threats affected flights out of Ottawa, Montreal, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Calgary, and Vancouver. Staff were moved to safety while the agency and police swept the area. Passengers caught up in it all.
Do I have the opportunity even to leave right now because I don't feel safe here? And that was also going through my mind of I've got my 3 kids at home and now I'm sitting in an airport that has a bomb threat.
Ottawa airport officials say they announced updates to people in
she comes back and again
there needed to be more efforts to notify people.
I was just thinking that. I was like, it's not even really fair. She's just talking.
Our gate, we see that the hallway to our gate's blocked off.
NAV Canada says operations are back to normal, but dozens of flights, including to Toronto and Halifax, Chicago, Fort Lauderdale, Washington, even Paris, were delayed or canceled, leaving passengers in the lurch.
I'm probably around $500 to $600 just by not making my flight today.
Some people stuck at the Ottawa airport for hours longer than expected. Others unable to rebook their flights until days from now. And many not able to get any help at all with costs of meals and hotels.
The airline couldn't have done anything. So in these situations, they are not obligated to compensate the passengers financially.
And NAV Canada asking passengers to continue checking their flight status before they head to the airport in case of any further disruptions.
And Nicole, it's pretty interesting how quiet authorities are keeping about this investigation.
That's right. They're not saying much about this bomb threat because of security reasons, but Winnipeg RCMP did say that the airport there received a call at 6 a.m. saying there was a bomb in the air control tower. When they did a sweep, they found nothing, but the investigation into exactly what happened continues. NAV Canada working with both police and Transport Canada to find out what happened.
So there you have it. Those type of things make me, I don't want to say makes me laugh, but it kind of reminds me of, a bunch of students that don't want to have the exam today in school. They call in and they plant a fake threat. Yeah, 6 different airports in Canada all at the same time. Do you really think they're gonna call in? Seriously, if they're gonna do something, if they're gonna go out of their way to fucking make it happen, to plant a bomb somewhere in the airport, they're not fucking calling you.
No. Has there ever, as I was watching, I was thinking, has there ever been, even one time when someone called in a bomb threat and it was actually a bomb? It doesn't happen. That it defeats the entire purpose of planting a bomb if you're inclined to do so, right? And it's just, there has to be, I'm not saying you ignore bomb threats, but that seems to me like such a weak spot in society. Yeah. If you can allow, because shut down the 6 busiest airports in the country, that effectively brings the country to its knees, right? We can't make it that easy to shut down the 6 most busiest airports. A fucking phone call anybody could do from a phone booth. How
good is your security? How good is your security if all it takes for you to doubt is a phone call? If that's the case, that means our airport security fucking sucks.
Well, and 6.
It just sucks.
You would assume it's probably hard to get a bomb into any place in an airport where it's able to do real damage. So to do it 6 places, that right there should tell you it's bullshit. Now, I understand you can't just ignore those things, but there has to be a way that they can check, double check, triple check while continuing for the airport to function as it's intended. You know, I feel like I made a post on X about this the other day, and this ties into it pretty well. The post was about fireworks, and I'm actually just going to share it just because it'll take me a second to read it, but it ties very much into what we're doing and what we're talking about here. So it says, the fact that society has decided it now hates fireworks because some dogs get anxious is actually a pretty solid microcosm of Western culture in 2025, and I don't think I like it very much. We've become a fucking nanny state of obnoxiously safety-conscious woke scolds, and we've given up so many tiny compromises, quietly eliminating one quote-unquote unimportant thing from our society after another, all to cater to or avoid offending one special interest group after another. And frankly, it's all starting to feel rather important. And this kind of ties into that. Like, yes, I understand risk reduction should be important. Safety should be something we all consider. Safety and risk reduction cannot be our guiding principle of society. Like, where would we be as a civilization if risk reduction, you know, the Christopher Columbus would have never left Europe if safety was his priority. As a society, we need to take risks, and we need to be, you know, cognizant of that. You know, appropriate risks. Yes, I'm not talking about stupid risks, but the you know, and I call it woke scold. It's not overtly about politics left and right, but it kind of is. It's if someone is overly safety conscious without knowing anything else about them, you can pretty much predict with a high degree of
woman,
white liberal woman, high degree of accuracy. With a high degree of accuracy, their political opinions. And that's a weird thing in and of itself, right? But the point is, we can't fucking allow the safety conscious woke scolds to dictate society for us. Yeah, Sylvia, it's right. It's one of those. It's a Friday day rant.
Is he fucking ranting, but he's promoting his own fucking.
Oh, please, you play your posts all the time. I can do it once in a while.
That's why if you go back and you look at me as you're reading it, I'm like, oh shit, I do that all the time too.
Yeah, you do.
I'm actually laughing. That's why. Fuck it.
Yeah. But yeah,
that's show. We can promote our own.
That's
shit.
Right. That's right. But that's the end of my rant. I just think as a society, we're becoming far too safety conscious. I'm not saying ignore safety. I'm saying it can't be our guiding principle. Kind of like with Mark Carney and fucking climate change. I'm not saying completely ignore it, but it can't be your guiding principle. Can't be.
So, you know, since we seem to have a bunch of comments that are for Alberta, let me skip ahead a bit so that I'm going to talk about.
That's why, Nico.
What Daniel Smith is.
That's why you didn't like that woman. That's why you didn't like that woman.
That one. Oh, yeah. No,
Sylvie.
I don't know what it is, but she just.
Sylvie says that woman was woke.
I lost $500-600. The way you're dressing, woman, you ain't fucking making $500-600 a day. Fuck off. Stop lying. And why are you at the airports if your kids are at home? Just saying. So don't give me this shit, right? It's a choice. It's a choice. And your jeans shirt, like how'd you call sleeveless jacket? You ain't in business. You ain't making $500-600 a day. Fuck off. Maybe, but I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Are we gonna take Ivermectin's commentary to segue into?
Before I do, that's the reason why I wanted to take it, because we're getting a bunch of comments from Alberta, so we might as well. We will give what the public wants.
That's right.
Here is something I find interesting, and I'm interested in knowing what our Albertans people think about this. But Alberta announced yesterday a new provincial police that will be led by former Calgary chief. Here is CTV News.
The province is moving forward with its own police force. Premier Danielle Smith says it will eventually be called the Alberta Sheriff's Police Service and will complement the RCMP and other police services, not replace them. CTV's Miriam.
Before I continue, remember the Indian guy that had the coolest voice ever that it did not fit his face?
Voice,
that's another one.
Voice ever.
But that guy too. He has some of the. He has the voice of a dude that should be swinging a fucking sword on the battlefield, and he's
not
just
a face for it.
Fucking nerd.
He's got a voice for it though.
he has an awesome voice, but you don't expect a little redhead nerd to be speaking like
nerd-looking guy. Yeah.
No.
Miriam Valdez-Carletti joins us live with more on this story this evening.
Voice.
So, Miriam, if it's not replacing police or RCMP, what will this new service be doing?
Well, Public Safety and Emergency Services Minister Mike Ellis says the service will improve safety and close gaps, especially in rural communities. He says when Albertans call 911, they expect someone to show up regardless of their uniform.
I have heard horror stories right across rural Alberta when it comes to shortages within detachments. I've spoken to First Nations, Métis communities who have complained about their current contract service provider and the lack of police presence in their communities. With that being said, we need to be ready for the future of policing in Alberta.
The current RCMP police service agreement with provinces and territories expires in 2032. Ellis says it would be negligent on his part to not explore alternative options to RCMP. Smith says more than 80% of Albertans are currently served by municipal police, not the RCMP. CTV's public safety analyst Chris Lewis says there's more questions than answers.
If the RCMP don't have enough officers, for example, to cover a zone on a particular night or weekend, do they call the sheriff department and say, okay, could you guys look after it? Who notifies them? How do they report on it?
Anybody who knows anything about cops knows they will not do that.
Traditionally,
cops are very territorial.
Traffic enforcement.
Yeah.
They will not call another force.
Vacancy rates for the RCMP are at about 20% in Alberta. Smith says recruiting for the new service won't be a challenge as many applicants want to stay local instead of being deployed by RCMP. Hundreds are already training to move into new roles, and there's no exact date of when boots will hit the ground. And the IAPS will be based in Calgary with Chief Sat Parhar as the lead. He has more than 25 years of police service, including as a deputy chief with the Calgary Police Service. Matt?
All right, Miriam Valdez-Carletti live in studio tonight.
Man, I really like that guy's voice. There's a couple of things I want to mention, and I think ivermectin is saying, thanks, guys. We aim to please, brother.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things I found interesting in that. So is it true for the Albertans out there, is it true that the RCMP cannot cover all of Alberta? Because to me, it makes sense. I lived in the woods for years in Quebec. Never, I think in 5 years or 6 years of owning that place, maybe even 7, I saw one cop. I saw 2 cops, one in the town 15 minutes away from me, and I saw another one once in the domain where I used to live. So they were, if I'm a gun owner, and that's one of the reasons why I like guns, because nobody's there to protect me outside of myself. Now, there's 2 things worth mentioning about this video, and you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong, but it sounds to me that Daniel Smith's kind of prepping in case they do separate from Canada.
That was my take. 100%. 100%.
So she is very smart. She is very fucking clever. Because she's telling it right now. No. It's not to compete against the RCMP. We have a contract with them until 2032. But it'd be stupid for us not to investigate it. And she's right. But she's prepping in case.
Yep.
In case what she's hearing about Alberta next over the summer and whatever happens with the referendum next year, if they separate, they know they can literally switch. And the other thing I want to mention, and I'll let you do your thing afterwards, is I hope they do like the US where sheriffs are elected, because that's another thing that we don't have in Canada. Our police force are not elected. The police force are chosen by the people. Are chosen by the people in power, like people in government. Like it's normally a how do you call it? It's if you look at your municipal police, which most Canadians, that's who they deal with. You don't elect the person that runs the department. They're chosen by the
mayor. The mayor usually.
Exactly. But I like the thing. I spend a lot of time in the US, and that's one thing that I like that we don't have here, is that they will have their municipal police that is enforced by the mayor. Or not the territory. There's a term for it. Why am I drawing a blank right now? But they also have the sheriff.
County or
the county. Thank you. Yes, county.
Yeah.
It's the county. That's what I was looking for. So they will have sheriff. They will have police officers for that county, but they also have a sheriff that they elect, which I like that. I like to be able on the municipal level to choose who is responsible for my police force, because we all know that we focus on federal we focus a lot on federal news, we focus a lot on provincial news, but at the end of the day, if you want to change the world, you change the world one community at a time. And how do you change that community? know who's on your school board, like who's the school board, the school boards, who's running it, who's your mayor, who's the people in that office, who's your police force. Deal with them. You want to change your community, change those people. And this electing a sheriff just makes sense to me.
I mean,
but I don't know that that's what they're talking about. They might just be using sheriffs to separate themselves from the existing police force. But I hope they elect it, because I've always liked that principle.
And I think sheriffs in Canada, at least where I'm from, have a different meaning. The sheriffs are the people that ferry prisoners back and forth to court and jail. They're not like out there doing law enforcement. But you know that's I guess I'll adjust that part you brought up there. It's not really what the video is about, but it's an interesting debate, an interesting discussion. I would certainly be open to it. Like, should we elect our own local police?
I like it.
I certainly, you know, I understand the principle of the local public should have a say in their who polices them. On the other hand, I can support that and agree with it. I would like to make sure there's some safeguards in place, because you do hear about some like rural counties down in the States where like it's basically like a local fucking crime gang, right? Where the local sheriff is just this like fucking boss hog type who has like the county under lock and key through corruption, and you probably want to, as long as there's safeguards to avoid that, I'm down with it.
Are you talking about like native chiefs, for example?
Well, I wasn't, but they also they very
I like
much,
the face.
It wasn't, but let me do a land acknowledgement first, and then I'll answer.
Every time, hey, by the way, guys that are listening, if you see me do this is what I'm doing. It's because they're kissing. Because even him, he had to talk about the Métis people. So I'm like,
yeah, exactly, right, exactly.
Every time I do this is a land acknowledgement, just so you guys know.
But to the topic at hand, I think that's exactly what you said is exactly what went through my mind. I was like, fuck, Danielle Smith is on the ball. And I think there's some political comment, like some political analysis behind this, in that she's smart, she's prepping the stage. But there's also part of me that wonders, perhaps you can, again, you know, a lot of the stuff that's going on with the Alberta sovereignty movement right now is behind closed doors, right? It's happening in meetings, it's happening in town halls. It's not really in the news yet. So we are not really privy to it. But Danielle Smith and local Albertan leaders, they would have a sense of which way the wind's blowing. And part of this makes me wonder if maybe they are thinking that this is more likely than not at this point. Because as you know, as Nico said, everyone, even people who are pro-sovereignty, I think many people don't think it through the logistics of what that means. They don't think like, okay, well, shit, who's going to police us? Because right now it's the RCMP, and that's a federal force. One thing that guy, the Minister of Public Safety that was talking at the end of it, I don't know if you caught that, but he said, blah, 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 we're just doing due diligence, you know, we're just, it would be negligent if we didn't explore options, which is all pretty standard for what you expect. And then he's like, especially if we don't know what policing is going to look like in the future in Alberta. To me, that's a pretty clear signal that that is what they're thinking. That is the thinking behind that is, okay, there's a good chance that we might be a sovereign nation at some point. Yeah. And, you know, building a police force from scratch is a lot harder, you know, than just adding to an existing force.
It takes time, right? It takes time. You test it, put the protocols together. You want to be able to have kind of a roadmap as to, if you're in that area, this is the people that are going to be responding. So there's ways around it, but you need to put it in place and actually test it out.
100%.
So for them to do it now, a year before the referendum, put it in place, see how it works, is very clever. I think fucking clever.
Well, it is just good governance. I think Danielle Smith is, like, regardless of politics, what have you, she's just a smart woman. And she is, you know, she is the epitome, in my opinion, of what good governance looks like. Throw aside politics.
I would love to know who's in their inner circle. You know, the people that are behind closed doors, just kind of mentoring her. Fuck.
You can tell Poilievre's advisors are garbage, and you can tell her advisors are sharp. They're sharp.
She has a lot. Pierre Poilievre would have had a lot to learn by looking at the way she's leading.
Yeah.
Definitely. That was a very good point.
Well, and like, you know, politics is two different jobs, really. There's the politics part of it, which is, shaking hands, kissing babies, glad handing, being elected. But then once you're elected, then there's the governance part, and that's a completely separate job. And the problem that a lot of democracies have is that many of the people who are really good at the politics part are not good at the other part, the governing part. She seems to be the rare politician who's good at both. Take a few comments on this one.
Yeah, well, the video was really for ivermectin, so if you want to take his comments, they're good stuff.
So ivermectin starts with Alberta already has 11 police forces, another one added, and none shut down. Seems pretty wef. But I think the more likely explanation is kind of what me and Nico were talking about. I think it's getting her ducks in a row for a possible sovereignty move. That seems to me the most likely explanation.
She's clever. Like she's very smart. Like she is not an idiot.
I've got a question for
she's doing something.
For the conspiracy theorists, Nico, yourself, and any of the audiences, how do you guys see, or how do the conspiracy circles see potential Alberta separation in the lens of like WEF globalist stuff? Do they see this as part of that plan, or do they see this as throwing a wrench in the WEF plan? Because I could see the argument for both sides, and I'm not in those circles.
I can't talk for other people, but I can tell you that no matter if you're a conspiracy theorist the way that I am, you see any situation, any results can be bad.
Sure.
So, because the thing is, because people can say, oh yeah, but Alberta separating is throwing a wrench in the WEF because they might align with the US. But if that was, imagine that was the goal all along, that Trump was brought in order to criticize the WEF, the UN, NATO openly, but in the back door, he's working for them. So the rabbit hole is infinite.
It's infinite. It's infinite.
Oh,
and that's why I don't consider myself a conspiracy theorist. It's just because you can literally put anything into anything can be twisted into your conspiracy. And that doesn't mean those conspiracies are wrong or false. It just means that it's hard to give it too much credibility one way or the other, in my opinion.
You cannot just be a conspiracy theorist. This is why you see my tinfoil hat is right next to a cross. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that are happening behind closed doors. And what's the difference between facts and conspiracy theories? 6 months, right? So I always keep that in mind. But at the end of the day, I'm not in control of everything that's happening, and I'm still gonna enjoy my life, right?
Yep.
Like it's what was his name? Alan Watts that said that you need to see life as a joker. Everything is happening. It's out of your control. You have to laugh at it because at the end of the day, you're gonna die, and we're all gonna go somewhere else. So might as well enjoy life, laugh at it. Is it serious? Yes. Is there a lot of shit behind closed doors that we don't know behind the scenes? Yes. Is there a lot of evil people here? Absolutely. But at the same time, you can never prevent that from seeing the good that's out there. So that's why I am a conspiracy theorist, but I am capable of just saying, you know what? I have no control. I find it very interesting. So.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think that's, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but those are the people who are conspiracy theorists of the style that you are. I mean, I can always have a debate with those. Like I can have a productive. Yes, I know.
I like how you're saying I'm not one, but just like you say, oh, I'm a liberal, but your liberal stance is changing. Like you want to call
it's always been at skew with mainstream liberalism for sure.
It's going to be the same thing for conspiracy, motherfucker.
We'll see. Ivermectin says the peace officers here.
I know the next subject we're going, just because of your comment.
Okay.
We are going into the VISP right after.
All right, let's we got a couple more here and then we'll jump into that.
Oh, I don't go for it. I'm just thank you for leading me.
All right, cool.
Your comment, I'm like, I know where we're going with this.
And actually, guys, that reminds us, if you're at the beginning of the show and you hear Nico give the rundown of topics, the order themselves isn't really set in stone. If you guys want to, we only did this topic because ivermectin jumped in and threw it. So yeah, throw it in if you want us to talk about something.
He wouldn't shut up about Alberta, so I'm like, might as well talk about it.
Ivermectin says electing our own sheriffs would be amazing.
I agree. I absolutely love that idea.
Yeah. I certainly can see some of the benefits of it. Ivermectin again. I'm real scared with Danielle at the helm. She keeps repeating Team Canada and will be working with the Carney government over the next 2 years. Yeah, I think you got to understand she's still a politician and she's still a premier of Alberta, which is still a province in Canada. And also, to be clear, I think this is the first time that you've been here, Ivermectin. So first of all, welcome to the show. Appreciate your comments already, and I think it'll be a great fit here. Just so you know where we stand, we're both from the East. I'm from New Brunswick, Nico's Quebec. I personally, I want Canada to stay together. I don't want Alberta to separate. That said, I understand Alberta's grievances. I recognize them as legitimate, and I think the rest of Canada has really taken for granted Alberta. So it may be too late to keep them in, but if we are going to keep Alberta in, we need to have major attitude shift and adjustment like yesterday. But yeah, so that's the framework we'll be taking. So when we discuss this topic, but I think Danielle Smith, I think this is why I thought she's such a great politician, because she's threaded this very narrow needle, because she, on the one hand, she can't be too much for Team Canada because the sovereignty movement will turn on her. And you're already hearing, like, your comment here is a perfect example. I'm hearing a lot of people saying, I'm not sure about Danielle Smith. On the other hand, I don't think she wants to go full-blown separatist or sovereigntist because, like all politicians, you never want to put all your marbles in one basket or all your eggs in one basket, because then if it doesn't happen, you're fucked, right? So far, I think she's doing it very well. I think she's walking a very narrow tightrope well, and it may be impossible for her to continue to do this. At some point or other, she may need to actively choose between sides. But right now, I think her overall vibe of, I personally would like to see Canada united with Alberta recognized and respected, but I'm going to give my people a say in it. I think that's exactly the right angle to take, in my opinion. We have a lot of respect for Danielle Smith around here.
Yeah, and imagine that, like I said before, maybe her goal is to run for the federal election in next one. And right now she's playing she's very clever because she's allowing Albertans to decide. She's saying, I want to stay with Canada. She's not burning any bridges, but at the same time, she's giving the opportunity to Albertans to have their voice heard through Alberta
Democracy.
She's asking very hard questions like, should immigrants get social services in Alberta? Because it's a provincial service. So she's being very clever. She's asking the opinion of Albertans, and she's not rushing a referendum either. She pushed it to next year. So can you imagine if maybe her goal, we don't know, but maybe her goal is to stay within Canada because she wants to run for the federal government? Who knows? Who knows? Because at the end of the day, she has 2 years left. She could train somebody to take her place so that they run Alberta the way she's doing it right now, and then she can go for the conservative leadership. And I would vote for her. I didn't vote for Pierre Poilievre, but I would definitely vote for her. I just like the way that she's playing it. But at the end of the day, she's still a fucking politician. I don't trust politicians either. But if I had to choose one in Canada that I actually enjoy listening, I enjoy what she's doing, and I have respect for, if there's one in Canada, it's her. I'm a fan of Maxime Bernier too. I'm meeting him tomorrow, by the way. I'm going to go shake his hand again. But it's one of those things that he's never going to be elected. She has a chance. I could easily see her become the face of the conservative movement, but a more traditional conservative movement where free speech, gun rights, body autonomy when it comes to the whoop whoop, having, no women, no men in women's sport. Like, she stands for common sense conservative values. And
honestly, I would even just say common sense values.
But if Pierre Poilievre had the balls to run a platform similar to what she talks about all the time, he would have won a fucking landslide of an election. So she is just, to me, she's as conservative as a Canadian can be in Canada, considering where the Overton window is. Max is too conservative, as much as I don't disagree with a lot of shit he's ever posted. I agree with most of it, like 90% of it. But he's too much for the people. You can't go from woke left where we are right now to a Maxime Bernier. The gap is way too big. You need a middle ground. So as much as Maxime Bernier is middle, if you ask me, because he's not conservative. He's very libertarian, but the Overton window is too far to the left. In order to go back to where it needs to be, you need somebody like Danielle Smith to make it shift a bit. But either way, I'm a fan. I like her. I like her.
I think
I'm a fan as much as I can be of a politician. I'll say.
I think one of the things that is like evidence of how well she's maneuvered this is she like I don't know if she wants to be run for federal office or not, but she hasn't taken herself out of that running. Like she's essentially in charge of Alberta, giving them a potential option to separate. It would be very easy for her to say one thing that would prevent her from ever becoming, say, Prime Minister of Canada, right? Just one sound clip that they could use to say, oh, she's a separatist, she's a traitor, and she hasn't done it. She still has, you could still imagine her if certain things go certain ways as being Prime Minister of Canada. And for her to get this far, as Premier Alberta during this moment is such a testament to her political skills, is that she has not disqualified herself from being Prime Minister of Canada, even while overseeing a potential separatist movement. So I think that I would vote for her in a second. I have nothing to do with politics, just because I think she's fucking smart. I think she's principled. Yep. I think she has good governance. And I think, and this is so important, she has good advisors and she listens to them. So many politicians are just it's almost by nature narcissistic, that they're either not going to listen to their advisors, or they're only going to surround themselves with yes men, right? And that's such a undervalued skill in a politician.
We'll take those last two and then we'll switch. But Ivermectin saying, I love Max. I only vote PPC for now. Amen won't move. And not letting Max speak out is the biggest reason people should listen to him. And that's the exact reason why they did not want him on the debate stage in 2019. That's why they changed the rules to make sure. They even changed it in the last election again to make sure, because if he had the 10% intention, the 5 to 10% intention vote, he could have been on the debate stage, but now he needs to have somebody elected in order to do that. It's bullshit. They are trying to silence him. There's no question about him. You cannot say, like Maxime Bernier or not, they changed the rules in 2019 to prevent him from being on the debate stage, because he would have made them look stupid. The only thing I'm going to say, Ivermectin, I don't like about Maxime Bernier, and that's as a guy that have met him in 2017. Rob and I had him on the show a few months ago.
You can check that out if you'd like.
And I'm gonna see him tomorrow. But one of the things I find very unfortunate from Maxime Bernier is that he never worked on his English. Because I'm a French guy. Obviously, you can hear that I have a French accent, but I speak more English than I do French now. I can have I've had conversations on some of the biggest podcasts on the planet, and you can still understand what I'm saying. Maxime Bernier, unfortunately, does not have that, and it's unfortunate that he did not take the time to make his English better, to just solidify his English, because it
matters.
In a country where most people speak English as their primary language, I don't see a lot of Albertans voting, and I might be mistaken, that's just my opinion, but I really, really doubt that hardcore Albertans are going to vote for Maxime Bernier. Hardcore Ontarians are going to vote for a Frenchie. Like, we still have that. Women love us, but most men don't like the Frenchies. I'm just saying.
Wow, women love you guys. You guys love men. It's all a big mess. I mean, I agree though.
We're not gay, we're French, asshole.
I think that stuff does matter. People want to be able to communicate with their politicians. I think Jean Chrétien was as far as you could take it in terms of accent, and Maxime's is worse than Jean Chrétien's.
But the thing is that Jean Chrétien scored a high on the woke totem pole.
Yeah, Maxime does not.
We appreciate it, Ivermectin. Thanks for the interaction. Followed, and we'll be here many times after now. Awesome. I'll chill in the chat from here forward. Well, you can talk all you want, bro.
Yeah, that's what the show's about, bro.
We could just ignore you. We have that power too, bro.
and just
thanks for being here, bro.
Yeah, probably good a segue into, guys, if you are tuning in for the first time, welcome. We are the Political Orphans, of course, and we dissect all of the topics of the day through the common sense lens of left and right politics. If you want to support the show, please like the stream, become and follow us as well. If you really want to support us and the independent media we do here, you can become a member through the YouTube channel. that will give you for the low price of $2.99 a month. That will give you it will allow you to support independent media, support the show, and you can help build this community because we're just getting started. But yes, ivermectin, and don't worry about how many comments, because he says up here, sorry for blowing up the chat. That's what this show is about, is blowing up the chat. So never apologize for that, brother.
All I'm gonna just Sylvie's saying, actually Max talked about having his daughters learn English at a young age so they won't have the accent that he does. I learned English at a very young age too, so it's a great thing, but he should have learned it too. Like, he should have taken the classes.
I don't speak any other languages, but is it not true that once you're past a certain age, it's almost baked in, or can you always always get rid of your accent?
I don't know if I still have an accent, and
I know it's easier for children, but if you let's say you're a grown ass adult, like, do you think if Maxime Bernier at this point in his life really tried, he could eliminate the accent?
He could get. I didn't. So I've understood English ever since pretty much I've understood French. Like, my parents used to make us watch like Sesame Street. We were at the kindergarten that we were in where it was English, so I learned, but I didn't speak it. I understood it, but I didn't speak it. I didn't start speaking English until my 20s. Once I got my real job, my first job out of college, I was in tech support. It's a dude. It's a dude that was there. One of my buddies, one of my friends that I made in the call center, he taught me English as we went. He was a English major, so it just happened that he helped me out. But I learned in my 20s, so there's no reasons for him not being able to learn. But it is a process, and fuck, man, I'm 43 years old. I've been speaking English every day for more than 2 decades, and I still have a French accent. It's never gonna, never gonna leave. Not what sucks now is I sound retarded in both languages. So.
Final question, we'll move on. Sylvie, she says Jean Chrétien has polio when he's young, hence a slight paralysis on the right side of his face. It reminds me of a joke I heard when I was a kid, and it was, hey, how does Jean Chrétien, why does his face do that thing? And the answer is, he was a choir boy when he was growing up, so it was from going, almost done back there, father?
Oh, Jesus.
Kind of like the hair parting one. Yeah.
You're a good boy. You're a good boy. You're a good boy. So here is a subject that started going viral on my Instagram yesterday, and I kind of feel bad considering that I talk about the whoop whoop. I have associations with some of the biggest organizations about that. I've recorded so many podcasts talking about this. I got fucking banned on Facebook for talking about this during the whoop whoop times. And it turns out that Canada actually has a $50 million program called the Vaccine Injury Support Program that help people that are vaccine injured. And this is kind of blowing my mind because this is a video that was shared by Global News 2 days ago, and it's the same video I saw on Instagram. So listen to this. Tell me if you knew about this, but this is very fucking interesting how we went from me getting banned last year for talking about whoop whoop and what happens when you get whoop whoop to having CTV News talk about it. And now we have a government-funded program to help vaccine injured.
I have not gone public ever, and not very many people even know the cause of Stephen's death because I do not want to be the poster child for the anti-vax movement.
Stephen McDougall was 45, a father of 2 with an entire life ahead when he died.
Myopericarditis post-COVID vaccine.
His widow, Kimberly, was told a new federal program would help people financially if they were seriously and permanently injured. The Vaccine Injury Support Program, or VISP.
It's like a lottery, right? You never think it's going to be you.
The government hired an accounting and consulting firm, Raymond Chabot Grant Thornton, now called Oxaro, and paid them tens of millions of dollars to run VISP. But Global News spoke with vaccine-injured people and former workers across the country who say that program is chaos. Unskilled staff running a system unequipped to handle thousands of claims, leaving the injured waiting months, sometimes years, for help.
It got to a point where everything was a battle.
After 11 months, VISP approved Kimberly's claim and paid a death benefit worth roughly 3 years of Stephen's former salary, the maximum amount allowed by the Public Health Agency of Canada. And while VISP claims it will continue to support you for as long as needed, for Kimberly and her children, that meant only offering to pay for enough therapy to cover weekly sessions for a little over 3 months.
And then my kids are supposed to be fine. I'm supposed to be fine.
When COVID hit, Canada was the only G7 country without a vaccine injury support program.
We kept telling people, you don't want to stand these things up right in the middle of an emergency.
But during a pandemic,
we're creating a federal support program.
That's exactly what happened.
What we saw from global experiences, things don't go great.
And they didn't.
Thank you for contacting the Vaccine Injury Support Program.
Shannon DuPont's claim was approved.
To speak to a dedicated case manager.
And yet 4 years later, she's still battling VISP. With each of her 3 COVID shots, Shannon's health got worse. Vision loss, an autoimmune disorder, Bell's palsy.
My face literally looked like it was melting off on one side.
Unable to work, VISP said it would pay for her lost income and some of her injuries.
I'm on case manager number 9.
But error after error, she says.
They seem to lose everything and then you start all over from scratch.
Has left her $180,000 short.
I definitely cashed out every investment I had. I actually remortgaged my house.
Since 2021, the federal government has paid Oxaro $50.6 million to run VISP. Only a third of that, $16.9 million, has reached the injured.
So where's the money going?
That's insane.
In an email, Oxaro said it aims to provide a process that ensures all cases.
Yeah, let me just.
That's crazy. 4 years.
So it's been hold on.
Paid Oxaro 50.
So they got paid $50.6 million. They only gave about 16 million out. And how much you want to bet that a lot of that is in private pockets?
Well, and what she said is, we're wondering where the money went. Where the fuck do you think it went? It went into it's that $50.6 million that Oxaro got paid. You're only paying 16 million out, and you're paying 50 million to run the program. I mean, like, we all expect like inefficient government and shitty, like incompetent government running these kind of programs, but that's insane to pay $50 million just to give out 16 million.
Oh. $0.6 million to run VISP. Only a third of that, $16.9 million, has reached the injured.
So where's the money going?
In an email, Oxaro said it aims to provide a process that ensures all cases are treated fairly and with the same care, respect, and due diligence. It says its invoices reflect actual costs, reviewed and approved by the Public Health Agency of Canada.
Of course, actual
As
costs.
for its timelines, it says that depends on each claim's nature and complexity. Stephen McDougall's widow says he would have still believed in science, although she no longer believes the government is there to help.
They promised to take care of us. They didn't fulfill their promise.
The Public Health Agency of Canada declined an interview, but says it's reviewing the program and concerns raised. Meanwhile, the federal health minister, Marjorie Michel, reached out to us.
Don't worry, we
The
set up a
allegations
committee to
we've
study the
uncovered are
issue.
Completely unacceptable.
We'll get back to you
And
by
she's asked the
2070.
Public Health Agency of Canada to find a solution and that all options are on the table.
So there's, for the people that are new to this show, if you don't know, I started creating content because I refused the whoop whoop. I was an engineer. I lost my career, my house. I lost absolutely everything over this. I even got banned from most social media for a long time because I was talking about this. But what's insane is that do you remember how she started? So you're talking about the wife of a guy that was vaccine injured that actually led to his death, that has been confirmed that it was a vaccine injury, because this is the biggest thing. I work with some of the biggest organizations in Canada, like NCI, VCC, that are talking about this stuff. They've been talking about this for years, for decades, about how dangerous this is. And the first thing she said, I don't want to become the poster face of anti-vax movement.
I know
you know how bad that is? You can't even question something that we are told time
That
and
killed
time
her
again
husband.
that
That
is
killed her husband.
But we're told day in, day out, they are safe and effective. This is the motto. This is the religion. It's they are safe and effective. But I put you to the test. Go to your doctors that will prescribe you whoops, and ask them to give you an ingredient list. They don't even have them. You will have to go find it from the website of the producer yourself. But one thing I wanted to say, so first off, she doesn't want to become an or seen as an anti-vaxxer, which it's so fucking sad that she won't even tell what her husband has been, what he died of, because even the government obviously is VISP is, if the Vaccine Injury Support Program is accepting her claim and is paying out, that means they're saying he was vaccine injured. I speak to a lot of those people behind the scene that the government will simply not admit to it. I know of a woman that has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. She lost everything over this because she now have brain cancer, and they would not operate on her here. She had to go to the US, and the US will stamp her diagnosis as a vaccine injury, but Canada refuses to do it. So this is another thing. And I want you guys to understand a couple more things. Is Big Pharma, especially those who produce vaccines, are the only organizations in the world that are protected by government, that cannot be held accountable for the symptoms of their vaccines. Remember when Joe Biden left, the day that Trump got into power, he fucking forgave Dr. Fauci, and he extended the liability protection for Big Pharma until 2029, if I'm not mistaken. He extended it further. So everything you're talking about now are paid by taxpayers' money. So you have a producer of a product that is able to give it to people. They're protected from whatever happens from those vaccines. Shit, I meant whoop whoop. And if there are injuries, the government will pay for it. Tell me, how great of a fucking business model is that? If you're if you're Big Pharma, if you're Moderna or Pfizer, and you get the government to pay for the injuries that are produced by your product, and you can't be held accountable, brother, that's like the best business model in the fucking world.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, guys, if you are new to the show, you know, like me and Nico, we don't necessarily have the exact same position on vaccines. One thing we absolutely have common ground on is nobody should be forced to take any medication that they do not choose just to keep a job, just to participate in society, period. One thing that I would definitely call myself vaccine skeptical, though. One thing that's really sort of turned my mind, or at least maybe open to the possibility of that there's serious sort of wrongdoing and corruption going on here, is the absolute inability to even talk about.
You can't question it.
And it's not even about the harms. Like even to suggest that there might be some people might be harmed by it, and they'll say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy." Like, are you fucking listening to yourself? Every single drug out there can harm someone. But if you're going to tell me that this one specific drug that happens to be a hot button political topic is completely harmless and can never, ever hurt anybody, then I'm going to say you're either a fool or a liar. To say, like, if the pro-vax people took an approach like, okay, yes, we know that some people can be harmed by vaccines, and we believe that the benefits conferred outweigh the harms, and here's why. I might not agree with you, I might agree with you, but at least I respect that position and I can engage with you in a constructive debate. But that's not what's going on. What they're saying is, nope, it is completely harmless, and if you even suggest it might not be, then you're a conspiracy theorist. You know, they call people racist for suggesting that COVID was a lab leak. You know, I mean, it's all the same thing. It's like, these are completely reasonable concerns. Fucking Wuhan has a virology institute dedicated to coronaviruses. Even if it wasn't a lab leak, which it was, we know that now, it's completely reasonable to ask the question. And yet they call everyone a racist, conspiracy theorist. The same shit going on here. And, you know, this is what really sort of turns me at least to be open to the possibility that, yeah, maybe these people are completely full of shit. Because at the end of the day, the people who shut down any sort of debate, they're usually the ones who are full of shit.
I wanted to show this because it's kind of ironic because one of the organization I do work with posted that yesterday. Those are just the percentages of a brain swell. I can't read that on YouTube. I'm gonna get us banned. But for the people that are out there, if you can see what's there, those I can tell you, like I was at one of their events, the NCI event outside of Toronto 2 weeks ago. I recorded a bunch of interviews with literally doctors that blew the whistle on this from the get-go. 2 to 3 years ago, they were talking against this. They are the one that were in the emergency room saying, we're not full. Like what you see on TV is not true. We're not full at all. And then you have virologists that are like, hey, whoa. There's some things in there that are not right. Like there's something they're not telling us right now. So I have a bunch of interviews that are coming up. I got to sit down with those guys that are well-renowned now, and I'm going to be posting them soon. But if you see what's on your screen, those are just statistics. I know the people that run that organization. They're not there to scare people out. They believe in informed consent. They want you to have the information. They're not telling you don't do it. They're telling you, okay, hold on. Is the risk worth the reward, or is the reward worth the risk? That's what they say all the time. So here's the information. Take your own decision, but having the information at hand. We're not going to hide it from you, but yeah, it's that whole thing is very fucking interesting. That VISP thing. I still cannot believe.
I'm actually surprised that program exists. I'm shocked, to be honest. Because the left and the media have done such an effective job at pushing the idea that there's like vaccines are some miracle drug. Unlike any other drug out there, there's no potential harms, there's no risk, and any suggestion otherwise is you're a conspiracy theorist. And that shit right there, that actually harms their argument. That makes common sense. Otherwise, people who would be inclined to maybe agree with them step back and say, well, hold on a minute. Why are they lying? I know that it harms some people. You can't tell me that this fucking drug, especially that mRNA vaccine, which is it was a brand new technology. It was invented during the pandemic to say, clearly the trials were rushed. They didn't actually do correct trials. So it's impossible to say that there's no harms caused because we don't fucking know. Not enough time has passed. But then the insistence that nope, it's completely harmless. By the way, we're going to police your speech and censor you and ban you from social media if you ever suggest that it's not. That right there makes me like, wait a minute. That kind of makes me feel like it's not completely harmless, because if you wouldn't have to do that if it actually was.
And I lost my life over this. It's just I'm so used to talking about it now, but I'm very surprised too that I'm not surprised that I'm not surprised that VISP exists. I'm surprised that CTV News is talking about it. Because if I would have reported on this 2 years ago, like I used to talk about all the side effects years ago. I got banned, I got shadow banned, everything got thrown away. Like I lost so many fucking followers just because those companies, those Meta especially, kicked me off their platforms for saying what CTV News is literally saying now. I'm not, as much as I feel bad for the vaccine injured, because I really do, how many people do I know that are like me that lost everything? Lost absolutely everything for deciding not to take it. I never got an apology. I never got anything. And I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. And I lost everything over this. How many families were broken over this? How many relationships were broken over this? My family and I are barely, my mother, I just literally saw her a few weeks ago for the first time in almost 4 years because it completely shattered whatever left of a relationship I had with her. So
I mean,
and I'm not an exception. I've met so many people in the same boat as how many marriages were broken upon this, how many people divorced, how many relationships with your kid. It's insane what it did. And we're starting to see them acknowledge. I'm just very surprised to see something like CTV News that takes millions of dollars from our pockets every year in government funding actually talking about that. And I gotta say, the interview, they did not make her sound like a crazy conspiracy nut.
No, she sounded very reasonable.
If you shove that camera in my face and allow me to speak,
well, it started. Yeah. Well, first you have to understand what the WF is all about, and the fucking the Illuminati, and then we'll start there. Yeah, they're like, fucking get out of here. Yeah,
I'm sure.
We will cut this broadcast and then back to your regularly scheduled programming.
But they made her sound genuine. As somebody that edits content for a living, bro, I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, they gave her justice. Like, they did not make her sound like a somebody that lives in the backwoods that likes to fuck goats on the weekend. Like,
yeah, exactly, right.
She sounded hurt. You could feel her.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely genuine. Absolutely genuine.
Yep.
All right, and we'll grab a few of these comments here. Ivermectin is actually wow. He says I picked my name on. Yeah, he says pick my name.
Fitting.
Yeah, especially for this topic. My name on here after they gave my mom the vax. She had TPI, a white blood cell degenerative condition. The vax killed all her white blood cells. She died 6 hours later. Wow. Well, first of all, okay. It's really sorry to hear that.
Brother.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of stories similar to that. And it's not even just the vaccine stories, but like lockdown stories of people whose parents died alone because they weren't able to see them, right? Yeah, exactly. Right. You've talked about that before. So there's, this is all, there's a lot of stories from this time period that like that there, and like Nico's that are just heartbreaking. And I fear we haven't really taken the lessons aside from it. I mean, even if you want to try to be open-minded and see all sides from all angles, you can't. And even if you're pro-vax and you're pro-lockdown and pro all of that shit, you can. It's your right to hold that position, but you cannot just completely ignore the devastating effects of the lockdowns, of the isolation. And, if you want to talk on balance, that was a positive. Okay, I wouldn't agree, but sure, that's a fair take. But like, you're not being intellectually honest if you pretend that there were not massive negative effects from the lockdowns.
Man, I've talked about this before, and I'll just mention it quickly, but I didn't know what to do during that time. Like, I just moved to the woods, but I felt I needed to do something. So I went to the Freedom Convoy. I went to all the protests that I could literally afford to go, that were close enough for me to go. And I gave free hugs, man. And you would be surprised how many, and I've given thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hugs. And man, I got to tell you, most of the people that came for hugs weren't 20-year-olds. They weren't 30-year-olds. They were 50, 60, 70, grandmothers, grandfathers, just regular fathers crying in my arms just because they're like, I don't have any contact with my family anymore. My kids won't see me because I'm not part of their bubble. And you just see the effect in people. And Dr. Phil, when he went on The View a couple of years ago, had a great segment where he just dismantled them, saying that people need to be held accountable, but you guys don't understand how impactful that separation is on the human psyche. We are meant to be surrounded by other humans. We are very much driven by interaction.
We're a social species.
You can argue that it was a conspiracy or not, that it was done on purpose or not. I believe that it was, but let's say that it wasn't. They know the impact. They know what it meant. That was never calculated in their mandates. The fact that they were locking, like, I could technically, by law, I was not able to see anybody because I lived alone back then. So that means I had my bubble was me.
Yeah.
So technically, if I followed the law, which I obviously did, I followed it to the T, I would have been alone for 2 years, a year and a half, not able to go anywhere because I didn't take the whoop whoop. So I couldn't live my country. I couldn't be in any type of transportation. I could go to the grocery store, the pharmacy, and I wasn't able to see anybody else because I wasn't.
Wild. The and it's funny because they completely discredited themselves. And in the summer of 2020, when all the George Floyd protests happened, because then it's like, oh no, but like we just
this
spent
time
2 years,
it's okay.
Yeah, we just spent 2 years under very strict, like draconian lockdowns that are for the greater good, and most of society was like, okay, it's for the greater good. But the second a left-wing cause starts to cause riots, all of a sudden it's oh no, but it's okay now. Like, this is fine. Did you read that open letter by like hundreds of doctors and virologists who said, yeah, COVID's serious, but racism, structural racism is also a very important health condition.
Well, you do know that COVID is racist, right? It affects
Of
black
course
people.
it is. Of course.
Did you not know that?
I didn't know
the
that.
reason why George Floyd died is because of COVID. Is one of the reasons, because he's like 6'5". He's not at that 6 foot barrier.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he gets hit in the face with COVID every day.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that?
Of course.
Remember when we built a restaurant outside that became domes outside? You were not able to eat inside, but you could eat on the patio. But when it got cold, because we're in fucking Canada, they started building structures around the patio. So you couldn't use your main restaurant, but you could go eat in the structure that was built around the patio, as long as you put plastic dividers and you sat down. You could take your mask off when you sat down, because COVID doesn't reach below 6 feet.
Yeah.
People went with this shit.
It's all stupid. It's all stupid. And if the fact that all those lockdown conditions, which are so important, could just be lifted as soon as a fucking left-wing protest comes about, then that was the most damaging thing they could have done to their own arguments.
And how many videos have I seen behind the scene, like recently, where they were government official, they give their speech in front of the panel, they have a bunch of people in the back from their team as they address the nation, and they're like, okay guys, we're ready for the camera, everybody's putting a mask on, like literally before the camera started. You're just like,
it's so ridiculous. Like, these fucking idiots, man.
Virtue signaling. One.
Yeah.
Masks are good. Masks are important. No, masks are not important right now because our surgeon needs them. Oh, but we have now, so they're important.
So it's important. Yeah. It's all just made up nonsense.
Oh, fuck yes, Sylvie. Fuck yes.
Sylvie, Robbie never had to sit down because the virus always flew above him. Bro, like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
That makes me so happy.
I don't know why you guys 5'10" is not short. It's solidly average. We've discussed this.
5'9", 5'8", 5'7", 5'10".
We've been through this. We've been through this. Solidly average. But yes, that is why. That's why I never got the virus. Correct. How many topics do we have left?
Oh, bro, I got.
Oh, that's such a Sylvie move. Yes.
There is.
Sorry, Rob, I had to. Yes, correct.
Great.
Yes.
No, I'll let you
enjoy.
You should be able to do 2 more in the span of 17 minutes. So I either have what the CEO of the Canada's top 3 manufacturers said to Carney.
Okay.
The Toronto Sun reports something interesting about climate change programs. We have to talk about Lia Thomas because we both.
Let's jump into that.
I've been reporting that forever. So of course, and you, as this is one of your rabbit holes.
My babies.
Let me just hit something super fast. Super fast, because this won't take long. It's something that we've spoken about, how we can't.
That's what you say to your wife, is it?
It's not going to take long.
Let me just hit something super fast. It won't take long.
Oh,
you won't feel a thing.
No, that I can't say, because she will feel something, but it will be fast.
You're getting a text here in the next 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, you're a fucking idiot. Yes,
you're an idiot. Yeah.
Yes, and ivermectin. If you think that's funny, my wife texts me. She's above me, so she will text me on my cell phone.
Oh yeah,
you guys are fucking idiot. Like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? So, Poliev posted that yesterday, saying that
this is ridiculous, man.
That Canada's first PM too controversial for commemoration federal board rules. And if you know anything about me on the show, I don't take posts for granted. I will actually research them.
Yeah.
And it's been reported by this is somebody I think I'm gonna buy their subscription. Remember Blacklock? Yep. Blacklock Reporter, we talked about it. So they're the one that reported that the Toronto Sun in the actual article that Pierre Poliev is mentioning here. Actually, they mentioned that it was indeed like right here. So give them the credit where the credit is due. But right here, it said that according to reports published Thursday by Blacklock's reporter, the board recommended that Sir John A. McDonald, our first prime minister, who served as Canada's first and third prime minister, garner no further plaques or commemoration. So they're basically telling us that our first prime minister has become too polarizing and controversial to warrant any federal sponsored
garbage.
But you know, you said that the other day. I've said this before, but you said it the other day, which I appreciated it. You're like, you cannot judge somebody from 150 years ago by today's standards.
You can't do it.
Like you can't. But here it is. Given that McDonald continues to be a polarizing figure, the board noted the challenge of crafting a statement that views him from multiple perspectives, and that there will continue to be a public dialogue about McDonald's legacy to present-day Canada. The board then turned to consider whether or not it was appropriate to erect a plaque for Sir John A. McDonald. And if you remember correctly, in one of the Free Palestine protests or one of the BLM protests, you remember they toppled one of his statues in Montreal? Yeah. This is our first fucking prime minister. Canada wouldn't probably exist if it wasn't for him. And then you have a bunch of pretentious fucks that have nothing to do with Canada, that don't understand our history, that have never done anything to make this fucking country better, judge a man from 150 years ago by today's standards. Can you imagine how you would be judged, you fucking woke twat that don't believe that believes that men can have vaginas and women can have penises? You're going to be held as the craziest fucking twats that ever lived in Canada. So don't I wouldn't judge too many people if I were you, because it's not going to take 150 years because we start recognizing that you need to be held accountable for that type of bullshit. But hey,
I mean, look,
mind, right?
you like, people just sick of this constant erasing our history. I've got no problems with the discourse or the dialogue being in depth. If there are some things that aren't great, sure, talk about them. But that none of that has anything to do with recognizing the actual achievements that this person has done. Fucking everybody was racist from by 150 years ago by today's standards. Abraham Lincoln freed the fucking slaves, and he's racist as fuck if you judge them by, like, you think Abraham Lincoln would be okay with his daughter marrying a black man? Wasn't gonna happen. Like, if you want to go down the list, every single person is racist by today's standards. You can't live like that. You cannot judge them by the standards of the day. That's the only fair way to do it. And at the end of the day, this idea that someone has to be absolutely perfect or you just forget them, like you erase them from the historical record, is bullshit. Human beings are nuanced, we're complex. There's not one person who's ever been perfectly perfect. And so,
Jesus Christ.
Yes. Okay. Sure. If that's yes. If that's
God Himself.
If you want to make that argument, sure. But it's just it's nonsense. It's all designed to eliminate our shared history, to eliminate our and then it's kind of like what we were talking about the other day. Like, what does it mean to be a Canadian? Well, if these people had their way, it wouldn't mean anything. They're trying to eliminate our connection to our land and our country and our society by eliminating our history, and we can't stand for it.
I'm just going to take one comment before we jump into Lia Thomas, just because it's ivermectin. He passes a comment about, I love the French still use twat, fun word. The only reason I learned about twat is from that fucking guy. He used it a couple of months ago. Now, bro,
it's a great word.
It's like, twat will be twatting.
Yeah. Fucking twat waffle.
It's because I love cunt. Personally, I fucking love that word. Cunt. My wife hates it.
Yeah.
Every woman I know hates it.
Hates it.
I used it on the show, and I think you suggested I use twat. I've been using it ever since. You kind of helped me out on that one.
I like the C word in certain contexts too. And the reason I like it is because it's really the only word that we have in the English language today that can still stop someone in their tracks. And I think you want.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
But that loses its effect if used all the time. But I think it's important to have one word where if you really need it, you can stop fucking people in their tracks. But I wouldn't use it regularly whereas people in Australia, they say it all the time. You fucking cunt. They say this shit all the time. It's no big deal. But
too,
but here it's best to save your powder, I think. But
the worst part is that if you look at the definition of twat and cunt, they're pretty similar.
Same thing.
They both refer to the same area of the female anatomy.
Yep.
Talking about not having a female anatomy.
Yeah, let's use that to segue. Talking about male anatomy, yeah.
Let's talk about Lia Thomas, the dude that used to swim against women in the NCAA, that was ranked 200 something in the NCAA, became a woman and became number one. Well, it was announced by the NCAA that not only will they strip him from all of his wins and his title, but the NCAA will apologize to all of the women competitor that dude swam against, that they let swim against. And you know what? For all the people that are pissed, that are happy at this, you have to thank Donald Trump. Talk about fucking with people. Eh? Not only is he the reason why this is happening because he opened that door, but imagine somebody on the left that still believes that women can have penises. They fucking hate Trump. Hate Trump because it is because of him. Not only doesn't he agree with you, the NCAA is using him to backtrack.
Yep.
But here's I thought I'd play a video from Sky News. I like Sky News. Like they're from the UK. They're from Australia, and they're just twatting on that one. I fucking love it. Here is Sky News talking about Lia Thomas.
There is some justice in the world, and definitely justice for women in the US at last. The Trump administration is dismantling the so-called trans-inclusive policies that really did nothing but exclude and disadvantage real women. The University of Pennsylvania has agreed to revoke the swimming titles of transgender athlete Lia Thomas. The university will also issue a formal apology to every biological female who lost out to a trans competitor. Now, the university was forced to do this because the Department of Education and their Office for Civil Rights found that the university violated Title IX by denying biological women equal opportunity to sport. Now, Lia Thomas was someone who was a biological male. She started doing hormones in 2019, switched from the male swim team to the female swim team, and then miraculously won the national championship. Yeah. This is a small step in the right direction, but it is huge vindication for the biological women who've been fighting for their rights for years. And to finally have an apology from the university and some justice, this is amazing.
Look, it's good to see that that's come. I have no doubt they were dragged there kicking and screaming in many ways.
She has an Israel flag.
I feel
that's ball.
for so many of the women who have actually
ran
these races, swam these races already, been involved
that
in
looks
like
an Israel flag.
It is not an opportunity to be successful, not have the opportunity to win. Now, these titles might be removed so that their name goes up on the list now. But at the time, they never got the ability to enjoy success or experience that win. And that was what was taken away from these women. I hope universities, sporting clubs, and anyone else who thinks that this is appropriate, that biological men should be allowed to compete in sport with real biological women and just declare their gender. That this isn't going to continue. Look, I've always felt if people are trans and want to compete in sport, that's fine, but let's have an open division. Let's have you can have a separate
tranny league.
That's what they need.
That's how we're going to call it. A tranny league.
Compete, not necessarily putting them up against.
Has a ring to it,
women,
right?
But
Tranny
I do
league.
feel for the women
tranny league
who lost out on the opportunity of having a win and being successful.
Well, there have actually been attempts by some sporting codes to have a transgender division, but there was very little interest naturally because you're catering to such a tiny portion of the population. So, Joe, in Australia, we really don't have any protections for women's sport, and you're starting to hear of.
Okay, you know what? I had enough. So would you? I'll leave the door to you because I know that you like to talk about dude in dresses and women with penises. So go.
Yeah, I mean, it's to be honest, it's a bit surprising that they came this far. Like, you could imagine some sort of like, oh, we'll quietly strip him of his titles, but they're going out and they're doing a full apology to everyone who was forced to compete against them. Some people are not, like, most people are familiar with the Lia Thomas story. And some people think it's just about the sport, but it isn't. He was also allowed to compete with, change in the women's change room. The women were not allowed to complain, and any women who did complain were kicked off the team. Riley Gaines, she's a women's rights activist, and she competed against Lia, and this was what radicalized her. She said she was in a change room, looked over, and there's a fucking penis flopping in her face. And no one can say anything. Everyone's terrified because they kicked anyone off who it was shut up. That's a female penis, you bigot. And it's so obviously wrong that, of course, it's nice to see them apologize. It's hard to believe we got to this place where it was even necessary. But it's such an about shift. We talk on the show all the time about this vibe shift, this cultural shift that really came about when Donald Trump became president, I think.
He allowed it to happen. He allowed it to happen.
And this is another prime example of it. One thing that's crazy, in 2022, just 3 years ago, University of Pennsylvania, they nominated Lia Thomas to be the Woman of the Year for their NCAA top athlete, Woman of the Year. So that was only 3 years ago. To go from that to stripping him of his titles and apologizing profusely to every female athlete who had to compete against him it shows you how head spinning this change is and how fast things are being rolled back. And you love to see it.
What was the name of the I'm drawing a blank right now. Iman Khalif. Same thing. That's the next. That is the next thing, because it's one thing to swim as a fighter, as somebody that competed for years, bro. It's one thing swimming against, like, Riley Gaines did not get elbowed and punched and kicked in the head.
No.
So as much as I feel bad for her, and she's absolutely right to have done what she's done, and they created a monster, because good-looking girl, super fucking well-spoken. She has great coach. She's gonna become a politician. There's no fucking question.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She's gonna have a role under the next Republican government in the U.S. But all to say that you have a guy like Iman Khalif that was able to hit women in the face at the Olympics because he had a micro penis. Like,
if that doesn't strike you as profoundly wrong, you really need to check your moral compass.
Well, goody goo.
Strike you, yeah.
That is a good term, talking about boxing.
Yeah, and it works. But yeah, if that doesn't strike you as profoundly wrong, you need to recheck your moral compass because it's out of whack. Like you said, women deserve fair sport, fair competition. They deserve to be able to compete in sports without being forced to change with men, and that's all true. But all that's true for Iman Khalif's case, but there's even more added on, because now you're actually talking about a physical combat sport, and the fact that they allowed a biological male, to beat the shit out of women on the world's biggest athletic stage and win a gold medal and celebrate that man for it just shows you how deep the moral rot of this ideology has brought all of society. And it does seem like we're starting to wake up and give our heads a shake, and you see that with what University of Pennsylvania is doing here. It's shocking that it even ever happened in the first place. We ever got to this point, but I guess better late than never.
There was a meme. I'm gonna finish on that.
Yep. I'll take this comment here from Sylvia. She says, imagine a man wanting to compete with women because he's not strong enough to compete with men. And that's literally all it is. I don't know if anyone remembers the South African runner, Caster Semenya. That is also a biological male.
Oh, Jesus.
And he won the gold medal in the 800 meters, not the sprint, but like the run. At the Olympics in 2016, I believe it was in Rio de Janeiro. And he was, one of the best female sprinters in the world. But if you put his numbers to men, he would have been ranked like 2000s or something. So these are many times it's just men who are passed off as women because they can't compete with, and they'd rather be the best woman than just a mediocre man. And that's not right.
You might know the expression. I'm going to bastardize it because I can't find the actual meme, but men are so good that they make the best women.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. Men, yeah. Men, the best women in the world are men. And it's like, according to this ideology, it's like, fucking Caitlyn Jenner or Bruce Jenner or whatever. He transitioned a couple years back and it was immediately voted Woman of the Year by Vogue magazine. So, and these are people who would call themselves feminists. You know what I mean? It boggles the mind.
So it's okay for men to be the best women, but it's sexist for me to want a woman that will want to stay home and take care of the children.
Well, yeah. I mean,
but this is the irony of the left. Like the mind gymnastic that they must have to do in their heads in order to make it make sense.
Oh, everything. All far left ideologies require just mental hula hoops, and intellectual gymnastics of Olympics level, like Olympic level gymnastics. But again, that's why most common sense lefties, if you actually corner them and maybe hook them up to a lie detector, they'll say a lot of this stuff. They don't agree with it, or they know it's ridiculous. They don't know what else to do. They're not going to be conservative, and so they just keep their mouth shut and keep going. I get it all the time. Like I'm a liberal who speaks out against trans stuff, and they call me a far right Nazi all the time. Like, motherfucker, just because I don't believe that.
Should introduce them to me.
Yeah.
Make you feel better.
Yeah, you want to say, here's a real far right Nazi.
That's over there.
All right, guys. We're going to put a pin in there. Excellent conversation, excellent chat, excellent episode. Some new faces, guys. We always appreciate our new guests, of course, our regulars. If you do want to support the show, please consider becoming a member. You can do so through the YouTube channel. It's $2.99 a month, and you will support the show, allow us to keep bringing you guys this content and these conversations that we love to do. As you can see, if you have watched here, this show is entirely based on audience interaction. We're trying to create a space where the audience is as important to the show as the hosts. And hopefully, I think we're doing a pretty good job with that, but we couldn't do it without you guys. This show thrives on our audience. And frankly, we may be biased, but I think we have the smartest audience of any show out there. Maybe we'll take a little bit of, do some victory laps and pat ourselves on the back and all this, but we really couldn't do it without you guys. Have a great weekend, guys. Be safe, whatever you do, and have fun, but keep her easy. Don't drink and drive, and all the other. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but really, you shouldn't drink or drive. It's just good advice.
It's just like, what the fuck are we giving advices now?
Yeah. Wanda says lots. I'll just take this one quick one because it's just pumping our tires a little bit, and we always like that. Lots of channels taking down most comments. Maybe they don't like the thought question or subject matter. Really not free speech, or is this a podium on YouTube? I'm speaking on all channels. Yeah, and that's why we think we're a different kind of show.
We know bitches here.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's what we're trying to create. And you guys are helping us do it. And we will see you on Monday.
So don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive.